For this presentation, I'll be providing a profile of the independent animator Paul Driessen, who is one of my all-time favorite animators. Paul Driessen is a Dutch-Canadian master of independent animation. He was born in 1940. He is known for his style that is minimalist, witty, and profoundly absurd. His work is a narrative puzzle. He often abandons a simple, linear story for complex, simultaneous events. His films frequently explore themes of human failure, loneliness, and the mundane clash with the catastrophic. His short films have won more than 50 prizes all over the world, including the Life Achievement Awards at both Ottawa and Zagreb animation festivals, and a 1999 and 1980 Academy Award nomination for Three Misses and another one of his films, Elbowing. To date, he has made 30 animated films. So these are the points I'll be covering during this presentation. We'll look at the man behind the pencil and his early career. We'll try and deconstruct his style. We'll try and create a profile in film with some case studies. I'll talk about his legacy and influence, and then invite questions or comments at the end. So a very short biography, because we haven't got time to go into absolutely everything in detail. So he hails from the Netherlands, and he ended up eventually working with the National Film Board of Canada. But because of when he was born, he was very much a child of the 60s, and he was able to soak up a lot of the cultural significance of those times, amongst other things. So yeah, he was born in Nijmegen in the Netherlands in 1940. He was a self-taught animator, beginning his career in the 1960s, making commercials near Amsterdam. A pivotal moment in his life was when he was invited by George Dunning, a very famous British animator, to work on the Beatles' Yellow Submarine film, which came out in 1968 in London, which gave him his first feature film experience and exposed him to the counter-cultural animation movement. I think he was the storyboard artist for the Beatles movie. So this experience was crucial for his early style, which was highly influenced by the fast-paced, limited animation style popular in the UPA movement of the 1960s. UPA stands for United Productions of America, and there's a link to that in the notes for this lecture. So you can see on the right here the kind of style I'm talking about, which is very minimalist, and I imagine was a kind of a reaction to the ultra sophisticated work coming out of, like, the Disney studios. This kind of animation was much quicker to produce and was used a lot for not just TV animation to keep families entertained, but also was a precursor to the visual styles of films, TV series like The Simpsons, etc. So I think we've got a clip of one of their movies here. This is Madeline.
Winter, snow, and ice.
This is a clip of Madeline from 1952. There's a link to this film in the notes as well. So we can see here, again, it's a very sparse, minimal art style that conveys the basics, but it was still effective. And they were very popular as well at the time. Even back in the 50s and 1960s as well. So this time was a very formative experience for him, as you can imagine. But then in 1970, Driessen emigrated to Canada and soon began working with the National Film Board of Canada, or as it's known, the NFB, an institution known for funding an in inverted commas authors' animation. In this respect, it's the same as maybe a fine artist who gets to create their works, but being funded by someone who just lets them get on with it and be themselves creatively. So this is like non-commercial kind of work, and it's sort of animation for like art's sake in his case. So the National Film Board of Canada has an excellent reputation for, funding this kind of work, not just for people like him, but other artists and animators and filmmakers, and also Indigenous people as well, which is something that they were criticised for not doing in the early days. So the NFB environment offered unprecedented creative freedom, allowing him to develop his highly personal, non-commercial style. His films have been produced both through the National Film Board of Canada and other independent European studios in the Netherlands, Belgium and France. He also taught animation for 17 years at the University of Art Kassel in Germany from 1988 to 2005, where two of his students who created the films Balance and the other film Quest won Oscars. There are links to both those films again in the notes for this lecture. So Balance was created in 1989, and Quest came out in 1997, and both are stop motion animations actually. Okay, so let's have a look at the style of his work. So we'll take a closer look at the visual style created and used by Paul Driessen. So we've got Home on the Rails there. We've got these stills here that I picked. Home on the Rails is the first one. The one in the middle is Oh What a Night. And the third one is Oedipus. I think, looking at these, it looks like Oedipus was created digitally, because it's got some really crisp lines in there compared to the other films that were actually shot on actual film, the pre-digital age. So I'll let this play in the background. So it's a very minimalist line art style. Characters and settings are rendered in a wavy, wiggling pencil on paper style. The lines are boiling and jiggling all over the place. This fragility and simplicity enhance the vulnerability of his characters. And this, as I've said, is Oedipus from 2011. And there's a link to this film as well. So you can see here they've got the snoring head on the nightstand, and the snores are even, have a material quality as the issue from the sleeping head's mouth. So yeah, it's the minimalist line art style again. It's the fluid metamorphosis. Objects and figures morph and transform freely. Bodies might be left out. Volumes change, or a background line might suddenly become an object. The art is constantly animated or alive. And the reference to bodies being left out refers to his film Home on the Rails, where as the character walks across the shot, they disappear. And that's not for some magical effect. It's just because he couldn't be bothered to do the in-betweens. He freely admits he's a lazy animator. He's a child of the 60s. What can I say? He's like the animator version of the dude character from The Big Lebowski. So he's the animation world's version of Jeffrey Lebowski. So all this presents his audience with worlds without the usual boundaries of time and space. This otherworldly quality defies expectation and acts more like a dream or surreal fantasy. This makes his work unconventional and very distinctive. You don't sit back and enjoy a Driessen film. You sit forward as you try to make sense of what you're being challenged to see. And this is The Water People, which came out in 1992. And again, there's a link to this movie. So the use of the multi-frame or split-screen presentation of his work, this is his most recognizable technique. This is from The End of the World in Four Seasons. The screen is split into multiple panels, often 2, 3, 4, or 8, to show simultaneous or interconnecting narrative threads. There's a link to this movie as well in the notes, and we'll have a look at this at the end. So you can see a clip of this film here. Just a little taster of what we'll be watching in a moment. So absurdity and black comedy are common themes in his work. His films are deeply funny, but the humour is derived from misfortune, death, and human ineptitude. For example, the character in The Killing of an Egg, which is the still on the left here. We're also presented with narrative puzzles. The multi-frame format forces the viewer to actively participate in connecting the scenes and solving the narrative puzzle. He often plays with the viewer's expectations. Also, one of the key features in his work is isolation and the miniature man. His characters are frequently tiny, fragile individuals dwarfed by a looming, indifferent world. For example, the massive garbage truck in the film An Old Box. Links to both those films are in the notes. So yeah, next we'll have a look at three key examples of Paul Driessen's work, just to gain a better perspective on the man and his art. So this is set to Vivaldi's The Four Seasons music. This film uses an 8-panel grid to simultaneously show multiple distinct stories of everyday chaos and eventual catastrophe, often involving a runaway horse and a giant axe. So just a bit of a closer look at this. This is the quintessential Driessen work on multiplicity and simultaneity. The separate frames are designed to influence one another, illustrating how seemingly isolated incidents are actually components of a larger, overwhelming, absurd disaster. This film was an Academy Award nominee in 2000, and this is the other film I was talking about, Three Misses. It doesn't refer to three females, it refers to three missed opportunities. So this tells three separate stories. One is a tenant seeing a falling woman, a cowboy hearing cries on a railroad track, and dwarfs learning of Snow White's poisoning. Each story ends in a failure to save the victim, but the film then reveals how the same action, a miss, from one frame is the key action in another. So it's a brilliant demonstration of how perspective and timing define the meaning of an event. A failure in one story is simply an irrelevant act in another, highlighting the arbitrary nature of fate and consequence. This example is the boy who saw the iceberg. This also was awarded for an Academy Award in 2001. In this case, the screen is split in two halves. Left side is reality, right side imagination. A young boy's real life is constantly interrupted by adults, forcing him to restart his heroic imaginary adventures, such as a retelling of the Titanic disaster. So this explores the conflict between childhood fantasy and adult indifference. The ultimate dark joke is when the boy finally sees a real iceberg. The real-world adults dismiss him, and his imagination is extinguished by the actual disaster, a profound comment on the failure of the real world to listen to the imagination. Paul Driessen has won over 50 international awards, including 2 Oscar nominations and Lifetime Achievement Awards at both the Annecy and Zagreb animation festivals. His work, especially The Killing of an Egg, 1977, influenced figures like Steven Hillenburg, who's the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants, to pursue animation. He is a true master of the short-form narrative, proving that complex philosophy, dark humor, and technical genius can be delivered with the simplest of lines. Paul Driessen's legacy is one of inventive minimalism. He took the fundamental element of animation, the frame, and turned it into a philosophical device asking us to question how we perceive time, consequence, and reality itself. He made animation an intellectual art form that is still incredibly fun to watch and help us reflect on the nature of who we are and our relationship to the worlds we inhabit. Okay, that's the end of the recording for the lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. If you weren't able to make the live event in person, I hope that what you've seen will allow you to reflect in a very fundamental way on your own creative animation practice and help you think about what it is that you can create to make your work distinctive and stand out from the crowd. Thank you for your kind attention.